My project, in relation to safety, is about a perversion of surveillance and the power structures that enable it. This will be evidenced in the proposed guarded gateway of architectural objects and a site edge condition that relates to my core subject. In creating my nonsense regulation, I looked to gated communities, Jane Jacobs' The Life and Death of Great American Cities, Jan Gehl's Cities for People, Michel Foucault's articles on surveillance, and George Orwell's 1984, in an attempt to create regulations that disrupted the natural response to surveillance and perhaps provided a more hopeful and people-focused regulatory framework. There are 8 sections, 5 of which are relevant to my mid-semester project, and 3 of which I have considered for the future of the project. The most important sections pertaining to this project are Section D and Section E, which relate directly to surveillance and tackling power structures. In describing the design decisions of my project, the relevant clauses will be highlighted. The edge condition for my site relies on materiality to create a superfluous veil between the defense site and Maribyrnong. The translucent polycarbonate sheeting provides a level of mystery and shallow transparency akin to that of a modern intelligence agency, so that people outside can vaguely see in, but do not understand what it is they see. However, the material is also flimsy and easy to breach. Once the barrier has been penetrated, the site is left out in the open. I liken this to the Snowden whistleblowing. Once you're inside, you can do whatever you want. In response to the river, in accordance with the regulation, it bridges and dams the river, repurposing the now currentless river as a boundary. The polycarbonate barrier is also 3.6 meters high, the height of a Melbourne tram, to prevent tram users from seeing over the boundary but by the bare minimum measurement. The police box is the first architectural object one encounters on entry to the site. This box is designed with the regulation to be an uncomfortable, abused, relatively powerless structure. From the ground, the second story measures 1.7 meters, a very uncomfortable height, and the holding cell is located underneath with a view in, so to openly witness an abuse of power. The walls are curvy to the point of illogical, as bookcases, cabinets, or desks would struggle to fit nicely anywhere. The toilet is slightly too big, and in a hygienically disturbing move, the kitchenette is adjacent to it. The columns are a symbol of abused and misplaced power, floating in space with no purpose, acting as almost hypermodernist trees. As I'm proposing this object as a place of no civil discourse, there is a small bench at the rear covered in spikes, an example of the defensive architecture hurting those who propose it. The second-story office is based on the panopticon, the ultimate form of surveillance. However, this panopticon is non-functional. It privileges certain views of its surroundings. This is a move to take all-seeing surveillance away from those who could abuse it, and give more power to those potential victims. The addition is also low enough that passers-by could get views in, allowing for potential accountability and a level of transparency within this system of abused power. The Maribyrnong City Council building is the beginning of an investigation into power, public buildings, and a proposed alternative to the columns and stairs facade of this building typology. The project is also rooted in site through materiality and the reuse of existing structure and floor plates. The brick not only reminds of site, but also provides a link between the people and government through accessibility. Traditionally, buildings such as this are stone and marble, so utilizing a more common and accessible material provides an immediate connection from the people to the building. The central chambers are designed to force a perspective upon entry to the site. The windows and form provide a clear connection to the columns and triangular roofs of traditional buildings. However, moving further in, it is revealed that there is an offset from this traditional mindset or form of government. This ties into the police station, with their panopticon view of this being offset, reinforcing that things have changed and their government may not back them up. Additionally, the stairs are literally inverted, bringing the government down to the people, and in the lowest level there is a small pool of water used to symbolize this purification of an abused typology. The second story allows this descending stair to occur, sitting 1.7 meters above the ground as per the regulation, while the ground floor sits within the lower pool. The building is held up by a geometric framing system to represent the people and citizens that are supposed to hold these governors up and rely on them to run with integrity and their interests at heart. With this in mind, the slanted roofs also gain meaning. On the right side, the roof represents the government at a federal level, overshadowing the central chambers slightly and taking up a majority of the floor plate. On the left, the government is at a state level, which is not as high and barely overshadows the central chambers. The materiality for these canopies matches the gateway to tie these two objects to one another, the representation of government and surveillance combined. This relates to the regulation in conveying views from above and providing transparency. Additionally, the name of the building is cut into the side through a selection of windows and views, spelling out what the public expect and perceive this building to be.